guys, welcome back to a new video. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to make these super cute frog top loader holders. So the materials you'll be needing are some lightweight yarn, a crochet sewing needle, some stitch markers, a 2.5mm crochet hook, and some felt and fabric or hot glue for the face. So before we get started, I actually want to talk about the yarn a little bit, because you want to make sure that it's not any thinner or thicker than this, because otherwise the holder might end up being too small or too big. And what I thought was kind of weird is that both of these yarns, I actually got them at the same store. I think it was Woolworth in Germany, and they're supposed to be the same type, but for some reason this one is a lot thinner than this one, and this one's even like a little bit more stiff, which honestly gave this holder a better structure. This one turned out a little bit more flimsy, but again with the top loader you can't even notice. So sadly I only have the specifications for the green yarn that I used, but again technically any lightweight yarn should work. So because everyone's yarn intention is different, I'm going to be teaching you how to adjust the height and the width of the frame. However, it's important to keep in mind that the width is the same for all three. So they are all 18 single crochets wide. So the written pattern that you're going to see on screen is the original pattern that is best suited for thicker yarn. So that's the pattern that I used to make these two holders. However, in this video, I'm going to be crocheting the adjusted version, and I'm only going to be explaining those steps verbally, because if I wrote it on screen, it would be a little bit confusing. So if you want to do the adjusted version, make sure to pay attention to the whole video. But again, if you're doing the original pattern, don't be worried, because both patterns are not that different, so it's really not that confusing. And one last thing, I would recommend to measure the top loader and the holder as you're going. So in case you notice that it's like way too small or way too big at the beginning, you can undo it and then adapt it however you need. So yeah, that's basically it, so let's get started. So to get started, you want to do 19 chains, and you want your leftover string to be around 6 or 7 centimeters, so that way we can hide it later on. So I'm going to use my 2.5mm hook, and I'm going to do 19 chains. Now for round 1, I'm going to skip the first chain and I'm going to go into the second one and do a single crochet. And now you want to keep doing single crochets until you reach the end. So in total you should have 18 single crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest, and I'll see you at the end of the round. Next I'm going to chain 1, tighten it. I'm also going to tighten the yarn on the hook. I'm going to turn. And now for round 2, I want to hide this leftover string. So I'm going to flip it backwards. I'm going to place it in the middle like this. And now I'm going to do a single crochet into the first stitch. Again, while I'm hiding this leftover string. And again, you really don't have to do anything to it, you just have to kind of crochet over it. And I just want to keep single crocheting. So in total for this round, you also want to have 18 single crochets, and then you're going to chain 1 and turn. I'm also going to show you the easiest way to hide string. So once it's kind of short, I'm going to go ahead and pull it like this. And that kind of makes it curl a little bit, but don't worry, we're going to stretch it back out once you're done. So I'm just going to keep single crocheting the rest of the row. And once the string is really short, I'm just going to try to keep crocheting it in. But if I don't get the whole thing, then it's not that serious. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row. I'm going to chain 1, tighten it, and turn. And again, this is curled up, so I'm going to go ahead and stretch it out so that way it's not curled up anymore. And as you can see, leftover string is completely gone now. So if you're doing the original pattern, you want to do one more row of 18 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. But since I'm adjusting the pattern for this yarn, I'm going to be doing 2 more rows. So for the current one I'm making, I'm going to have 4 rows of 18 single crochets total. So we'll see you once I'm done. Okay, so now for round 4 or 5, depending on what pattern you're following. So for the original pattern, you just want to do 3 single crochets. But for this one, I'm going to do 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3 into 4. Again, if you're following the original pattern, you just want to do 3. So you don't want the sides to be too thin, because otherwise the top loader might show. So this part of the frame is 2 centimeters wide. And then for this one, where I used slightly thicker yarn, is 1.5 centimeters. But as you can see, it covers the top loader perfectly. So you want the sides to be at least 1.5 centimeters wide. Next, I'm going to chain 1, tighten it. That's really important to make sure it looks nice and even at the end. I'm also going to tighten the yarn on my hook. going to turn. So for the original pattern and the adjusted pattern, you want 18 of these rows in total. So you basically start counting from this row. So this is number 1, and I'm going to do 17 more rows. And if you want to make the sides longer or shorter, you want to make sure that the amount of rows is even. So it has to be an even number of rows. So I'll be back before I'm done with the last round. So I'm at the last round, and just ignore these strings, I just had to reattach the yarn because I ran out. But I'm just going to do the last round, so it's 1 single crochet, then I'm going to chain 1 and tighten it. So now I'm done with the front part of the holder. I would recommend to take your top loader and measure it to make sure that it's not like too short. So this is how it should look like so far. Again, this is a standard top loader. As you can see, there's still some space left over, but the last couple of rounds on the top are going to be covering this. You can also place it at the front to see how it's looking. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. You want to leave about 6 centimeters so that way we can hide it later on. Now it's time to do the other half. So first you want to insert your hook into this single crochet right here, and I'm going to reinsert my yarn like this. I'm going to pull the short string completely like that, and I'm just going to tighten it. So now I'm going to do a single crochet into the same stitch where I attached the yarn, and I'm also going to be hiding this leftover string at the same time. And now I'm just going to do 4 single crochets. Again, if you're following the original pattern, you want to do 3. I'm going to chain 1 and turn, tighten like that. So now I'm placing the leftover strand in the middle, and I'm going to do 4 more single crochets. Again, I'm resetting the round count, so this would be the second round. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And now for both patterns, you want to have 19 of these total on the right side. So since I already did 2, I'm going to do 17 more rounds. And it is really important that once you reach the last round, you don't do a chain 1, you just want to leave it as it is, because we're going to be doing some chains to connect both sides. So make sure to come back for the last round. Okay, so I'm finally around 19, so I'm just going to do the last single crochets. So to connect both sides, you're going to do the stretchy type of chains, and for this pattern I'm going to be doing 10 chains, but if you're following the original pattern you want to do 12, again because 6 minus 18 is 12, and in this case 4 plus 4 minus 18 is 10. And to do the stretchy chains, you basically want to pull the yarn up a little bit, and then you're going to turn to the right and come back up. And then you're just going to chain 1, and I'm going to repeat that 9 more times. So just go around and chain like that, and make sure to count your chains because it's kind of hard to tell where they start. So next I'm going to take this other side. I'm going to insert my hook into this first single crochet. I'm going to tighten my yarn a little bit. I'm going to yarn over and go through. And then you just want to do the single crochet like that. And I'm just going to do the rest of single crochets. And I want to chain 1, tighten it, and turn. So this is how it should look like so far. So now for the next round, I want to hide this leftover string right here. So I'm going to flip it back, put it in the middle, and I'm going to do a single crochet to kind of crochet into place like that. And I want to do a row of 18 crochets. And again, make sure to count them once you're done, because sometimes I'll accidentally skip a chain. Okay, so now once you're done with the first round, you want to go ahead and turn. And now if you're following the original pattern, you want to do one more round of 18 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. But for this adapted pattern, I'm going to be doing 2 more rows. And now we're going to make those little half circles for the eyes. So for this round, you want to do a decrease into the first 2 stitches. So I'm going to go into the first one, yarn over and pull through. Same thing for the next one. And I'm going to pull through all 3 loops. Now I'm going to do a single crochet, slip stitch, and tighten. Now I'm going to do 4 double crochets into the same stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the next stitch. Like that. Now I'm going to pull through 2 loops and then through the other 2. And I'm going to do the same into that same stitch. This is number 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And now I want to do 6 single crochets. So I'm going to go into the next one and do 6 and do the rest. Now I'm going to do a slip stitch. And I want to do 4 double crochets into the same stitch. And then another slip stitch into the next stitch. Now I'm going to do a single crochet, and I usually have 2 stitches left over, so I'm going to go ahead and do that last decrease. And I'm going to chain 1 and tighten it. So as you can see, we're done with the front part of the holder. As you can see, there's enough left over on the sides for when we slip stitch the 2 sides together. And then if I put it behind, and as you can see, it covers the top loader perfectly. You can only see the photo card at the front. So next you want to cut your yarn, and you want it to be around 20 centimeters because we're going to be weaving this at the end. So again, once you do your chain, I'm just going to go ahead and just pull through. And I'm also just going to go ahead and cut this leftover string here. Like that. So now let's go ahead and do the back. So now for the back, you want to do 19 chains. And this part of the pattern is actually super similar to the base part of the front. So again, you want to leave around 6 or 7 centimeters. And I'm going to do the 19 chains. So I'm going to skip this chain, go into a second one, and do a single crochet. And I'm going to go ahead and do the rest until I have 18 single crochets total. And then you want to chain 1 and turn. And then for round 2, we're going to be hiding the leftover string. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this. So I'm going to chain 1, tighten it, and turn. And I'm going to take this leftover string, flip it backwards, and place it in the middle. And I'm going to do a single crochet into the first stitch like this. Now it's in the correct place. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this round while hiding the leftover string. Again, make sure you pull the string once you're at the end of the string, and then uncurl your work after. So for the original pattern, you want to do 25 rounds. So far we've done 2, so you just want to do 23 more. And for this pattern, I'm going to do 27 rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and do 25 more rounds. And it's really important that once you get to the end, you do not cut the yarn yet, because we're going to keep using yarn to slip stitch both sides together. So I'll be back once I'm done with all the rounds. So this is what 27 rounds looks like. I'm going to take the front part and just make sure that they are the same size. And as you can see, it fits perfectly. So I did not miscount. So in the next clip, I'm going to show you how to slip stitch both sides together so that it looks like this. However, if you notice that the holder is a little bit longer than this one, it's because that was like an older prototype. But again, don't worry, the slip stitching part is exactly the same no matter how long or short your holder is. So yeah, let's go to the next clip. So now you want to take the front piece and you want to choose what side looks better. So I'm going to be choosing this side, and what you're going to do is you're going to place it behind the back. Again, this is going to be the front, and you want to make sure that the back is on the back basically, because if the front is facing you, then these arrows are actually going to be in the front, and I just think it looks better when they are at the back. So next you want to go ahead and make sure that they are lined up. You can actually see these bumps right here, and you want to make sure that they all match up. To make sure that they stay in place, I'm going to go ahead and use a stitch marker, and I'm going to place one at the very end right here. And I'm going to place another one in the middle, again making sure that these little bumps match up. If you want, you can do more, but I think 2 should be fine. So now we're going to start connecting the pieces. So I'm going to go into these first 2 stitches. Again, I'm basically putting my hook right in here. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull the yarn through, pull it up a little bit, and then I'm going to go do the loop on my hook. So I'm going to go ahead and do it again. You want to make sure that it's always aligned. So I'm going to go into the next couple of stitches, pull up my yarn a little bit and go through the loop. So as you can see, you're kind of going into all of the rows. So I'm going to go into the next row, so to say, pull up my yarn a little bit and go through the loop. Again, it's really important that you always pull up the same amount of yarn every time, because otherwise these arrows are not going to be the same size, and it might take up a little bit of practice, but once you've got it, it's really easy. Again, make sure you don't do them too tight, because otherwise they're not going to be the same size. And I also just want to highlight the importance of not skipping any rows, because as you can see in the area marked in yellow, I accidentally skipped a row twice, and I ended up with this big stitch, as you can see from the stitch marked in blue. So if you want a more even look, make sure to be extra careful and go into every single row. But again, if you accidentally skip a row 2 or 3 times, it won't actually affect the final result, and those big stitches might not even be visible depending on what type of yarn you're using. But yeah, just keep that in mind if you want a really even result. So now I'm going to connect these 2 final rows. So I'm just going to go in like that, pull up the yarn a little bit and pull through. So now we're going to do the bottom, and here we're going to go into the chains instead. So I'm going to go into these very first ones right here on the right, like that. Now I'm just going to take my yarn, pull up a little bit and pull through. I'm going to go into the next 2. As you can see, they are aligned, which is really important. And if you want, you can go ahead and connect them again with a stitch marker, but I find that the bottom usually aligns itself pretty well. Again, make sure you don't miss any chains. And if you don't like how it's looking, definitely feel free to undo it. So now I'm going to go into the very last pair of chains, like that. And as you can see, it's looking really good so far. I'm going to just redo the second chain because it's a little bit too tight. Oops, okay, I'm going to end up doing a few more actually. Again, make sure you don't do your slip stitches too tight because otherwise it might end up curling the holder. Okay, so now I have to close up this side. I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch markers in, making sure that everything is aligned. And I'm going to go into this very first row right here, and I'm going to go into the next round. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this side, and I'll see you once I'm done. So I finally got to the last row, so I'm going to go ahead and go through both sides and do the last slip stitch, like so. Next, I'm going to chain 1 and tighten it. And yeah, we're basically done attaching it now. As you can see, it looks so clean on the back and on the front. Like, it looks like we didn't even do anything, which is crazy. Now we're going to do this loop so that we can hang it up. It's totally optional. If you want, you can just cut off your yarn here and just pull it through. But I'm going to go ahead and just chain 12. Like that. Now I'm going to insert my hook into these same last rows, and I'm going to do a slip stitch and tighten it really good. As you can see, there is a little loop. And now to be safe, I'm going to chain 1 more and tighten it. So now I'm going to cut my yarn. Again, you want it to be around 20 plus centimeters. And I'm just going to pull it through. And yeah, we're basically finally done with the crocheting part. Next, you want to weave in these 2 leftover strands. I honestly never have like a specific pattern for sewing. What I like to do is kind of to bring it like right here, and then I'll just do a knot so that way it's not visible. So you basically want to hide it as close to the edge so that way it doesn't pop out. So I went ahead and did a knot on my needle. Now I'm just going to bring it down, and then I'm just going to go to the next stitch from above, And now I'm going to come back up from under. And I'm just going to keep doing that until I lower the string a little bit. So I think that's low enough. So I'm going to go ahead and put my needle through this stitch right here in the middle. I think this is actually from when we slip stitched. I'm going to pull through. And now as you can see, I have the slip right here. So I'm just going to put my needle through it to create a knot. Tighten it, and I'm just going to repeat that exact same step again to make sure the knot doesn't come undone. You really want to tighten it. So once I'm sure that it's really secure, I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And there we go. And now I can fold it back, and as you can see, you can't see it anymore. So now I'm going to do the same with this one. And now we are finally done with our holder. So next, I'm going to go ahead and glue on the eyes and the mouth. So the eyes and the mouth are made out of felt, and I actually used my Cricut to cut them out. So in case you don't have a Cricut, you can just trace the face and then just cut it out by hand. I'm pretty sure fabric glue would be ideal to glue this down, but I'm just going to use my hot glue gun. You just want to make sure you don't do too much, because otherwise the hot glue is going to show on the sides. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and glue it down now. Please don't mind my hot glue gun, it's been through a lot, and it was mostly not my fault. Gluing the mouth is always the trickiest part, but somehow I manage. So it did turn out a little bit wonky, but that's what makes it special. And yeah, we are now officially done. So this is obviously not sealed. So if you do want to hang it on your bag, I would recommend to sew it together with a few stitches. And then if you want to change the photo card, you can just cut the few stitches that you did and then just like, change the photo card and then sew it again. So I'm actually going to change the photo card and see if I have a more matching one. I think this one matches so much better with the purple jacket. I love how it turned out. And this is the final result. As I said before, I'm super happy with how it turned out. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye!